have been obligated, basically that's our obligation to you, that there is a letter of conditions, and it says that if you follow through with the letter of conditions, then we will fund the project. So at this point, no funds have been dispersed. Until your loan resolution is signed, you're truly not in a repayment status with rural development.
And would we have a period of 2 or 3 months to complete that response to you that yes, we're taking this on and we're ready to go?
Yes. Yeah. I will tell you that because of the importance of libraries for rural development, when the funds are obligated, this will be the first library that rural development's funded in Minnesota under this initiative, so it would be getting some recognition from our state office. So the project is a high-profile project for us.
Certain to be approved?
I've already talked to the program director, so I don't think that it's going to be a problem.
Okay. Fundraising, Robert. It's fundraising.
It's the fundraising.
I don't think rural development is the...
Can I ask a question about Crescendo? Does Crescendo just basically tell you how to raise money in your community, or does it open you up? Does it say where can they? What other places? I mean, does it purely it's not raising in the community, or is there tell you outside sources to find?
It's not a grant writing organization. It may have some knowledge, but they're not pursuing those. They'll identify your fundraising area, which may be outside of city limits. To so if we're paying for a library and we're talking about relying on city taxes, which is a very defined area, the benefit of the fundraising is it helps to help other people be part of that payment, that process. They don't do the fundraising for you. They'll hold your hand through the process and they guide you through it, and there's 100 committees that get set up for this or for that. I think her favorite saying is to give until it feels good. I think that's what she says, and instead of give until it hurts. But their advice I found to be invaluable because, as I mentioned earlier, left to our own devices, too often we have these small-minded fundraising ideas, and you don't realize how big you can go with some of these donors. I was surprised with some of the donations we got in Spring Valley. We had one that was anonymous, and it was, I think, $200,000 or $300,000. So they're out there. I think without that, we had no chance.
And they didn't limit themselves to just the Spring Valley area.
They went to the as far as they felt that folks would be involved. Yep. So we went out to the surrounding townships, the business community as well. So as you're looking at it, we just kind of broke this down to a $1.6-something million loan. The idea is, you'll have to find out from Crescendo what they feel their confident target mark is, see what that gap is, and if you're comfortable with that gap, saying, well, we think the residents can, the taxes can make up the difference, and then maybe you move forward. If the gap is too big, then you either have to reduce the scope or try some more on the fundraising.
Question for Dan.
Yes.
Munson. Appreciate your presentation. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Okay, back in the shadows. Yes. Electric Commission has declared that we can't run all the lights at once in this building. So, cost cutting. In your study over the years, there have been definitely a lot of positive vibes and positive thoughts that went into this. What are the negatives? What are the real consequences or the constraints that you've run into as you looked at that particular site? The one that jumps to my mind, and Mr. Ehlers is here too, I think. I heard his name mentioned. Yeah. What happens if the school moves? One of the positives, as I see it, is the proximity of the two buildings right now. It's easy for kids just to migrate over here and become, a captured market in a way. What happens when the school is a mile farther north?
It's a good question, and I don't have an answer for you.
Can I just, my name is Crystal Schrader. I'm another board member. As far as looking at the school being directly across the street, yes, I believe that is a factor with students. However, a number of the students live within town, and they do not necessarily live, out where the school would be built if it were going to be built in that area. And it is still within walking distance, bike riding distance. A lot of the students, even after they went home, would still come in for that.
Okay. Any other negatives or, negative things that you looked at in your planning?
I think I addressed a lot of those. No, really, one of the vital, important aspects of a library is that it be centrally located, that it be close to a downtown, that it brings in, that it be where people are, where people congregate, where you want people to congregate. We've heard a number of people, and I think I'm also one of them. Been here 6 or 7 years. One of the first places you go in a new town is your library. It's free. It's accessible. You meet. It's where you're going to meet people, and it's where you're going to, where you are going to congregate. You want that downtown. You want these new people to be close to your businesses, not out on the edges of town. Are there? Yeah, there are going to be negatives. There are going to be negatives to anything you do. If the school moves, yes, that's going to put us at a 3/4 of a mile difference. When I drive through town, and I probably should be walking, but when I'm driving through town, I'm seeing kids all over the place. I'm seeing them down at the ball field. I'm seeing them walk down to Stumpy's or to the Creamery or to Quick Trip. Kids are walking. They're going to find their way there if that's what's important to them. But I think one of the important words that you just said there was if. When will the school move? And I don't know. That's another financial burden that the school, I don't think, is going to take on until there are other monies available as well. But Mr. Ayler, I think, could address that better than I.
Thank you, Dan. If I may, Mr. Mayor and council persons, I'm Chuck Ayler, superintendent, and I know that there's been lots of discussions going back and forth here tonight. The old saying about the library and about our students, you heard from our educators tonight, you heard from some of our students here. If you build it, they're going to come. Regardless where you have it, they're going to come. If the transportation is an issue, it's very easy for us to run a bus over here, drop those kids off at the end of the school day. Buses will go by right in front of the library as it is. I think that's a non-issue. As far as the building across the street for use as a library, the issues that we're dealing with, you would inherit. I don't wish that on anyone. And I mean that sincerely. You look at our heating costs, on an average, they're $6,000 a month. $72,000 a year for what? To heat a building. Granted, we have to keep people warm and we have to keep it an environment where learning can take place. But you're going to inherit what we're dealing with. And I don't think that's a feasible option for you at this point. The bottom line is this. You have a dedicated library board that's worked very hard. They have invested 10 years into this project. You are this close. My personal philosophy in life is opportunity knocks only once. If you don't open the door, it is forever closed. Please be aware, opportunity is knocking. Make the most of it. Thank you.